Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandra Lu. I am a PhD student at University of Santo Tomas, Philippines. So I am here to show you my presentation, and please allow me to share my screen now. So I hope everyone can see my screen now. So I am here to defend my paper entitled Dynamic Capability, Technological Ability, Innovation Ambidexterity, and Agile Leadership. This is a hypothesized resiliency model for pet care services, MSME proprietors of the Philippines. So my advisor in this paper is Professor Marilyn Caroline Castaño. Today, December 14, I will share with you my paper. So here in the Philippines, we are considered third world country. It means that we belong to the lower middle income. So according to the Department of Trade and Industry, with their records compiled last 2020, 99.51% of all the commercial establishments here in the Philippines belongs to MSME. 63% of the country's workforce are employed by MSME. And 40% of the country's gross domestic products are contributed by MSME. So here, we can see that MSME are indeed the backbone of the Philippine economy. So I, myself, is an entrepreneur who belongs to MSME. I have a pet shop business which I opened last 2009, about 14 years ago. So I started my business very small, and as of the moment, I am employing currently 60 to 70 employees. I still belong to MSME under single proprietorship. So when we hear the word coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic, who among us here is not informed about that word? Who among us here doesn't know the meaning of those words? Who among us here haven't heard those words before? So these words are very striking. These words informed fear. These words informed those unforgettable experiences that we don't want to experience again. COVID-19 made sure that it will affect each one of us. Everyone is indeed affected, including the first world countries and of course us who belongs to the third world countries. You know, the abrupt emergence of COVID-19 has spread very, very quickly. Everyone, over 213 nations who belongs in MSME were extremely and severely affected. The pet industry, specifically here in the Philippines, was also very much affected with COVID-19 pandemic. Pet care businesses, almost every business in this country, were forced to have temporary shutdown of operations. We were forced to have shut down management and marketing transactions with our customers. We are forced to lay off employees. We are forced to close the doors of our businesses. And we are forced to stop operations. For them, luckily, it's temporary. But for others, it became permanent. So these situations, like the COVID-19, are we always supposed and should always be forced to close our businesses? Whatever we started years ago, should we always surrender whenever there are instances and problems that arise like COVID-19 pandemic? So this paper that I wrote is very much dedicated and aligned for entrepreneurs like me under MSME, specifically here in the Philippines, to at least be more prepared and resilient towards instances that may lead to business closure and losses. So resilience. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic underlies the importance of organizational resilience. If companies were resilient to instances like COVID-19 pandemic, do we still fear these unforeseen events? If we are resilient, do we have other options rather than closure? So resilience may help companies face and capitalize the crisis. And this will help the companies avoid closure, business losses, and temporary and permanent layoff of their employees. It is very much important to have business resiliency, because if we are resilient, we can now adjust, we can now thrive harder, we can now perform better. At least we are prepared to battle in the unforeseen events happening and continuously happening in our economic daily activities as an entrepreneur. So the research objectives includes, number one, to investigate the factors that influence business resiliency of Filipino MSME entrepreneurs. Number two, to assess the mediating role of innovation ambidexterity, namely exploration and exploitation innovation. And number three, to propose a business resiliency model among Filipino MSME entrepreneurs. So for the literature review, we considered the following. So number one, dynamic capabilities. So here, what is the importance of dynamic capability of every businesses in our proposed model? If companies do have their dynamic capability, they now have their internal and their external readiness standards. They now have protocols that will make them prepared in terms of problems and economic losses. For dynamic capabilities in business operations, we, the business, will now be more competent. We will now be more updated. We will now be more ready, and we will now be more resilient to business losses, business closure, and business problems that might arise in our day-to-day operations. So, companies can survive through fast changes in the environment if they have dynamic capabilities. And this will impact the rate of their adjustment processes. Just for example, in my business, since I belong to an MSME business here in the Philippines, if dynamic capability is one of our priorities and is also part of our business operations, business model, whenever there are COVID-19 pandemic and there are other problems that will arise like this, having dynamic capability in our businesses will help us combat the problem immediately. Because we already have the set standards which we will follow and what we will do in order to solve these problems. So aside from losses, because during this time will kill us. Here's the problem. If you cannot react and solve it properly, it will eventually kill your business. So if business have these dynamic capabilities, protocols, and standards, the moment they know they're already experiencing the crisis, they now have these standards that will make them more competitive. These are their competitive advantage that will help them solve the problem immediately. So this will avoid further problems arising from problems. So dynamic capability in business operations are indeed very vital for this resiliency model. Next is the technological ability. So enabling technology in every business operations is very much vital, especially to this modern world, right? So digitalization, wherein we put everything, business operations, marketing, management, everything in our business online. We should adapt these changes because this is already the trend. If businesses were not able to grab technological ability, they should be ready to fail. Because the world is very fast shifting into digital world. We are now digitalized. It means we can do everything online. We can do and continue our business operations online. We can set business meetings like this online. We can talk to our customers online. We can make money online. So in problems arising, like COVID-19 pandemic, if we were able to grasp digital world, and if we were able to at least get a hand of this technological ability, then we have the power and we have the sword to fight. Right? If we are part of the digital world, we can do more. If our store is located in a single slot in the Philippines, if we enter the digital world, then we are located in the middle of the world now. We are expanding our business, and at the same time, we are making it stronger. So the capability of businesses to tap technological aspects, to accept digitalization, is very much vital to make it resilient. When it comes to problems similar to COVID-19 pandemic and other related economic crises, this digital world can help us a lot to survive and continue our operations despite of what's happening in our environment. The most market, the most number of buyers are already inside the digital world. So if we can grab it, if we can have a spot inside it, and then we will become bigger, stronger, and more resilient. Agile leadership. Agile leadership enables for consistency in the strategy execution, and of course, it will make our business stronger. So again, what's agile leadership and what's its important? So agile leadership is the capability of leaders to open their doors and make their employees and their team stronger. So how can we do about this? Agile leadership, compared to old style of leadership, help their employees be empowered. They give their employees authority. They give their employees their strengths. They give their employees the capability to run business aspects and to go outside of their own boxes. Agile leadership, giving power to every single individual in the team, will make the business stronger. Because, like what we know, 10 heads are better than one. 20 heads are better than one. Of course, 100 heads are better than one. So, if these heads, these employees, are moved towards a single goal, which is having success, achieving everything positive for the business, leading the business towards expansion, leading the business towards the capability to solve business problems, economic crisis, business losses, and leading the business a little bit higher every time. So this will help the business be more stable. This will help the business become stronger. And of course, it will help the business become resilient. If a lot of people are empowered inside the team, inside the business, a lot and everyone are moving with a single goal for the business, and then the business has no other reason but to move higher. Because if it keeps on falling down, this team will eventually think and continuously move towards achieving success. This team, powered by agile leadership, will have the capability to empower employees to move the direction of the business towards success and stability. This stability and business success will now make the business resilient. Now, innovation, ambidexterity. Continuous innovation is very much important to sustain and become competitive in business operations. Innovation will make businesses resilient to business losses, business closure, economic crisis, and of course, shutdown of operations. If we were able to continuously innovate, then we has the capability to improve our day-to-day operations and of course, everything inside our business operations. Innovation, ambidexterity, is belonging to dual innovation. It means we value exploration and exploitation. Innovation in terms of improving what's already inside the business, improving what's already inside our operations, what's already happening day-to-day in our operations, and at the same time, continuously exploring, continuously studying, continuously improving, continuously making other actions that still not present inside the company, but will make the business stronger. Research and developments will make the businesses stronger, stable, and resilient to business losses. Innovation. Without this, the business will be locked up inside a cage. But with innovation, businesses will be bigger, will learn how to flourish, and of course, will become more stable. If we are not afraid to innovate, if we are not afraid to accept these changes, then we are now flexible. We are now more available for changes. We can now adapt. We can now change. We can now improve. So innovation is really very much important in everyday operations, especially as an entrepreneur, because if you are not innovative enough, your competitors will kill your business. You will never be resilient to the changes. If you stick to the old model, this old model will eventually be gone and your business will eventually be gone also. Innovation, ambidexterity, which is the capacity to focus on exploitation and exploration in business operations, is very much important because this will help the business be resilient, stable, and strong. Now these are the hypothesized model. So for here, we can see the connections between dynamic capability, technological ability, agile leadership, exploration innovation, exploitation innovation, and business resiliency. So here, we can see if dynamic capability, which is our H1, mediates the effect of exploration innovation on business resiliency. If exploration innovation mediates the effect of dynamic capability on business resiliency. Next is if exploitation innovation mediates the effect of dynamic capability on business resiliency. And everything follows. If technological ability and agile leadership do mediates and affects on business resiliency. So these are the hypothesized model that we can have in this paper. For the research methodology, this research reviews existing studies that were validated, and these are the different factors offered online that impacts on business resiliency. The reviewed journals were also synthesized. These were all summarized, and these are all presented in this paper. Based on the synthesis, the following were identified as the independent variables, which are shown in our hypothesized model. The independent variables are the dynamic capability, the technological ability, and the agile leadership. Wherein, on the other hand, innovation ambidexterity is divided into exploration and exploitation innovation, which serves as our mediating variables. So, like what I've said before, the research hypothesis would be if, number one, our independent variable, like the dynamic capability, mediates the effects of, if exploitation innovation mediates the effects of the dynamic capability on business resiliency, or if exploration innovation mediates the effects of dynamic capability on business resiliency, if exploitation innovation mediates the effects of technological ability on business resiliency, if exploration innovations mediates the effects of technological ability on business resiliency, and so forth. So the conclusion would be that the synthesized literature provided insights into the different factors that impact business resilience. These factors were used to propose a resiliency model. that will become the basis for a quantitative research. These factors are dynamic capability, represents a company's ability to attain competitive excellence. So like what we've discussed before, competitive excellence will help business resiliency. Technological ability, making the business digitalized, opening the business into the digital world will make it resilient. And the agile leadership, which focus on the flexibility of the business and empowering its employees, its innovation and adaptability will open the business and become it more resilient. And lastly, innovation ambidexterity deals with exploring new possibilities and using existing resources to become resilient. So this ends the presentation of my paper. Again, I am Sandra Santos Lu, PhD student, enrolled at University of Santo Tomas, Philippines. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day. Thank you.